Welcome to our new series, Academic Tea, where we talk about stories from either our followers or more public Reddit stories about academic difficulties that people have run into, and we'll give some advice about how we would have handled this as well. This is The Struggling Scientist, a channel where we create videos and content that we hope helps struggling scientists out there make their life just a little bit easier. Let's start! So our first story is about an AI transcript fail.
Oh.
Okay. Today, I had my first ever faculty interview at a small teaching-focused college. They are visibly in a period of transition between their formerly unprofessional ways and into more standard higher educational practices. I was really excited to get an interview because it meant I had a chance to invest in an institution and make a difference at the ground level. When I was let into the interview, I agreed to be recorded by the AI assistant transcription app that they were using. I don't like AI, but whatever. A job is a job, especially in my field. The interview concludes, and I exit the call as the dean asked the committee to stay on the line to debrief. After their debrief, the AI app automatically sends all participants a link to the recording notes and transcription. Yes, it is what you might be thinking. This included the discussion criticizing my candidacy and coming to an agreement that I am not their candidate. They said they didn't know I was as young as I was, expressed unfounded uncertainty about my fit, and clearly had another candidate already in the lead whom they hadn't even interviewed yet, mind you. Oh, so awkward.
Yeah.
It also included their discussions, which named other candidates, one of whom I have a deep institutional tie to because it's a very small field. I am really in shock about how unprofessional and poorly my first interview went. I know I'm a bit green, so I'm not too bothered by not getting the post, but this was one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had and a really weird start to my academic career. Don't make the mistakes this school did, and make sure any automated processes will not include your post-interview debriefs.
Yeah, that is awkward.
Why doesn't this surprise me at all?
No. Now I'm curious which school though. Like,
it's anonymous, so
yeah,
that I don't know.
But that is awkward, and this is just the person who is bringing it to light. This has probably happened more often that candidates get this.
I am not surprised. I mean, these new AI tools can be really useful, but not all people are as technically savvy as others. Yeah, I can totally imagine this happening. Not that it's good. Not that it's good. This is very unprofessional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, things often happen behind closed doors, and this AI system just sort of brought it to light for this candidate a little bit.
I mean, at the same time, you can really use it as good feedback. I mean, it's a very unpolished view of what people actually thought of your interview, right? So more honest feedback you're not going to get. No,
true. I think it just sucks for the candidate in this case that the interviewers already have someone else in mind that they haven't even interviewed yet, right? So it's sort of like you get feedback, but it's also because they already preferred someone else. So yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, that happens a lot where, especially at the higher levels in academia, where there is already an internal candidate, but they have to post it still as an open position for everybody to apply.
Yeah.
So I'm also not too surprised by that. But I do agree that's a pretty shitty thing to do as an external candidate. And you cannot see from the outside if that's the case. And it's oftentimes, in the Netherlands at least, it's national legislation that means that they have to post a position online, even if they already have a candidate in mind.
Yeah.
Because they have to give everybody a fair shot at it. You are very cute. You are.
I think he wants to chime in.
But it's kind of difficult to hear why they prefer this other person over you. That cannot have been a fun read.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so we also have some responses. It's a story you will tell the rest of your career. After my first campus interview, the department never told me I didn't get the job. Radio silence. It hadn't gone well, so I didn't bother to follow up. 20 years later, I joke that I'm still technically under consideration. See the first interview as practice, thank them for the opportunity, try to see the humor in it, and imagine how mortified they would be if they knew, and move on. One other response that I thought was very, really nice. Obviously very unprofessional, but maybe approach it less from a result-oriented perspective, but more from a process-oriented one, which I would generally recommend to any academic scientist. These talks happen whether they are publicized or not. This is not a club you want to join. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
What matters for you is they did not find actual fault with your application according to your account, so you did your homework well, and you should keep doing what you were doing. That's actually a very positive note to take out of this.
Yeah, exactly. That your actually what you're bringing to the table sounds good. It's just for whatever reason they're just
Yeah. As a last side note, having candidates in mind for advertised positions is sadly very common in academia, especially if the time between job ad and the application deadline is short. Count on there already being a favorite, which doesn't mean those people always get the job. If another candidate is really strong, preferences can always be overturned, but this is sadly definitely a thing. Also, so is the backering on hiring committees. I mean, yes, they have to decide together who they're going to hire, and they usually all have a very strong opinion.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, but I work with this person and I know them well and we should get them or
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting story.
Yeah.
And I hope they learned from this.
I mean, by all accounts, it sounds like they should keep using this AI thing because then more people find out about
I mean, the
what to
benefit
actually
is
do.
you immediately know if you made a chance or not. And
Yeah.
you have your answer so much faster than normal.
Yeah, that is true. You get honest feedback.
Honest feedback,
Yeah.
yes. That's more than you could have ever hoped for,
Honest,
really.
critical feedback.
But yeah, difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, our goal is to make the lives of struggling scientists or academics just a little bit easier. And one of the ways you can do that is with the use of AI, but only if you use it properly and stay far away from letting ChatGPT write your entire paper. But what can you use the help of AI with? Well, so much more than you think. It can help you find connections between papers. It can help you test your knowledge on a subject and find your pitfalls. Of course, it can also help you improve your writing if you use it properly. And not to mention all the more recent developments in AI that you might not even have heard of before. Here on our channel, we regularly make videos about AI tools. But if you want a more complete overview, check out our masterclass on AI tools for academics, where we go into each part of the scientific process and how AI can help you without being just a gimmick. He's not in the camera at the moment.
Poker face.
Poker face.
Okay. Poker face? Well, he's not in the way. Now you're laughing about it. That was a lot of obstacles.
I got you. I will just edit like some technical difficulties in.
We don't have cats, we have dogs, and we thought it would work. No. Hi everyone, I'm looking for some perspective before committing to a PhD and would really appreciate advice from people with academic experience. I'm planning to apply for a PhD with a supervisor I worked very closely with on a year-long dissertation. My experience working with them was overwhelmingly positive. This supervisor can be very direct and definitely says things as they see them, which I really appreciated and worked well with. But I've always found them supportive, intellectually generous, and deeply invested in my work. We've had disagreements about project direction, but I never felt stifled. I felt challenged in a way that improved the work, and my project ultimately won an academic award. During a difficult personal period, this supervisor was also very kind and checked in on me repeatedly. Recently, however, I was warned secondhand by a current PhD student that a friend had a very negative experience with this supervisor and ultimately had the supervisor removed from the PhD project. According to the account, the supervisor was belittling and generally unpleasant to work with. This came as a shock because it's so far removed from my own experience. I raised these concerns with another professor in the department who I trust to get an honest opinion. This professor said many people in the department were surprised when this situation occurred and attributed it to personality clashes. It was also mentioned that the student in question has had run-ins with other academics in the department. I later learned that the second supervisor on that PhD project withdrew after the primary supervisor was removed. It's unclear whether this was done in support of a colleague or simply to disengage from the situation. I guess I'm wondering how much weight I should give to a single secondhand negative account when my own experience has been very positive. Does this seem like a reasonable risk to take, or is there something important I may be overlooking? I definitely feel a lot more confident about the situation after talking to a trusted professor in the department, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have fears about ignoring this warning. Any advice?
Okay, so a couple of things stand out to me immediately.
Yeah?
Like, it wasn't a very short experience with this person that he or the author has.
Yeah.
It was a year long.
Mm-hmm.
They had personal problems at the time. They were being supported through that.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately what stands out to me is also that this person also had run-ins with other people in the department.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, within your own group, with people you are directly collaborating with, of course you can sometimes have a little bit of a scuffle or difficulty, or especially when a paper gets written and everybody's stressed about writing a paper, that can happen. But to have that also with other people out of the department, that's a big red flag on the person on the PhD student, basically.
Exactly. Because
it's not that easy to have work-related scuffles with other people in a department. So that's a big red flag on a PhD student. And also, it's not just professors or PIs who can be difficult to work with. There's also plenty of PhD students.
Academics in general can be.
Academics in general can be difficult. I mean, those difficult PIs had to start out with difficult PhD students. So, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, the author also says that this person, this PI, potential PI, I guess, is quite direct. And that is something that some people like and some people don't.
Yeah.
That is something that people can really, really struggle with. But she doesn't mention if this person has had other PhD students before. But it's only one person who has this problem, so maybe that's implied there, but I don't know.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's a second-hand account of the actual problem. So
true. It's a very difficult one. And you shouldn't ignore red flags, especially if this is a person that you're just interviewing with and you have not had any experience with them. I would definitely ask about their supervision style and trying to see if that fits with you. But you have already figured out that his style, the PI style of communication, works with you. So I think you're good.
Yeah, I'm sort of struggling to it because the counter evidence is a secondhand account from someone you know about a situation with a PhD student, whereas you already have 1 year of working with this PI on the dissertation. You have other people who are also surprised that this even happened, and you know that the style by which the supervisor communicates works well with you.
And you have received feedback.
And even when you weren't working with them, they've been supportive with you. Like, by all accounts, I feel like there's an overwhelming account of good things to go with, and a secondhand account from someone else about a thing.
Yeah.
So I mean it's not a 100% guarantee that everything will work out well if you were to do a PhD. And I mean, maybe things get brought up that you didn't see coming, or
I mean, again, sometimes it's during the writing process where all of a sudden all the bad qualities of people come out, you know, because that's just a very stressful period for both PhD students and PI. So of course there are moments perhaps where you work better and where you work less well together, but yeah, I think anyway it's wrong to assume that it's always the PI's fault. They're definitely very, very difficult people to work with underneath you as well. And also, if it just happened one time, I'm really curious if this person has other PhD students in the past, or if this was his first one. Can also be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's always possible, like, especially if it's your first, that you just make mistakes, right? Or indeed you didn't pick a candidate that works well with you personality-wise or communication-wise, and that ends up clashing.
And this PI might also really love that, like, you are interested after already working with them for a year, because they also have experienced you and how you work, right? Which is a great position for a PI to be in as well, that they know that they can communicate with you, especially after going through something difficult with a former PhD student.
Yeah, exactly. That they know what works best with them, and you know what works best for you, and that can gel well.
And people can learn also from past experiences.
Yes. Now we also have some responses. So this one is from a professor. You could probably ask all the students I've had what their experience was like and get a range of answers. I had a student who I'm sure was frustrated with me, but I could point to each incident, missed deadline, untruth, and problem that underscored my increasing frustration. Go by your experience, but keep an eye out for any problems.
That's a very valuable point of view from professor's point of view. Yeah, I mean, of course, they can get frustrated with a person too, and can get very frustrating if a situation isn't gelling well. That's also frustrating for them.
Yeah.
Then hopefully you hope that they have the experiences and the adultness to deal with that, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think with a lot of things, it comes down to a little bit of communication. And ultimately, all academics are humans, and humans are going to have issues with each other if the personality or the communication doesn't gel well, especially in a minimum 3 to 5 or plus year relationship, working relationship with someone that you're both kind of tied to each other. So yeah.
I honestly think also a year of experience with somebody, that's not something you're gonna get elsewhere.
No. Yeah, I find it very hard to be able to judge a potential working relationship better than in this situation. Like, you've already worked with them on at least a dissertation. You've heard from other people in the department that you also know that trust.
You know other people in the department. Yeah, that's also really valuable.
That speak highly of this person and are surprised about the thing. Like, I really struggle to find a better circumstance where, you maybe a lot of sufficient green flags to continue with this. But yeah. So we also had an update from the author. So I completely agree with what you're saying. If I'm accepted onto the program, I'm planning to bring in a second supervisor. My project is interdisciplinary anyway, so it would be genuinely helpful for the work, and it would also give me another layer of support if a worst case scenario ever did happen. I know I'm probably a bit biased because of my own experience, but this is honestly the first student I've heard of who didn't get on with this professor. Whenever I mention to other students or classmates that this professor is my supervisor, their reaction is always positive, usually with people saying how much they love their classes. I know teaching and PhD supervision are very different, especially given how close PhD supervision is, but the stories feel like complete opposites. More generally, the department itself is very supportive. I completed both my undergrad and master's there, and I've always had good experiences, so I don't have any wider concerns about the environment or the support system. So yeah.
I agree, like teaching in a teaching environment and a full PhD supervision is very, very different. But if you have a good support system also in this department, other people, indeed getting a second supervisor is important. I don't see any red flags.
No.
It's a second-hand story. I wouldn't.
Yeah, indeed, it could just be personality clashes, or it could be just that PhD student himself is difficult.
Not to say that other PhD student might not have had a really difficult time. Because if it's somebody who doesn't deal with directness very well, that's totally valid, and that can happen, and that can have totally ruined their PhD experience because they had to switch PIs after all, and that's terrible. I don't want to say that's not that they overreacted or whatever. That can totally be like just a mismatch of personalities, but that doesn't mean that another person will have the same problem with this person.
Yeah, no, for sure, indeed. And also, it could also, we don't know the culture or background of these people, but it could also be cultural differences. Some cultures are very direct, some cultures are very much more subtle or nuanced. So it could just be that if there are cultural differences, that one of them is they're perceiving each other.
And it can be incredibly hard to receive feedback in a way that doesn't fit with who you are or how you would like to receive that. Yeah.
So yeah, I do have one additional comment here.
Okay.
A good uni friend and I have the same supervisor. My good friend is super sensitive to criticism, and over the first couple of years, they told me about feedback that they found harsh, which I found to be normal and would explain that to them. They have now gotten used to my supervisor's direct way of written feedback, and the fact is my supervisor is the world's biggest sweetheart. She had to tell me I was wrong about something once, and she kept trying to be gentle about it, and we both ended up laughing because I told her to get to the point. You've already had a year with your supervisor. Don't discount your own experience.
Yeah, I mean, that totally shows differences in experiences, but you also see that this PI is trying to accommodate the personalities of her PhD students as well, and that is just, I think, a mark of a great PI. If they're really trying to work with everybody. Yeah,
and I mean, I think it would be one thing when your experience of this supervisor is only from classes, because we already talked about the difference between teaching and supervising. But I feel like it's also a different case where the entire department of this person is also standing behind them. Like your classmates, other people that you know are saying great things about this supervisor, that there's beyond this sort of secondhand account from someone else, there
No.
isn't really red flags, and you have personal experience. So I'm struggling to say no to a position like this.
If it was the person, the PhD student, themselves
mhm.
who were saying that you shouldn't go with this student, I would still see it a little bit differently, because perhaps they have a more nuanced point of view,
Yeah.
or this is a friend that they used to complain about everything to. That's
Yeah.
totally possible, right? That's what you do with your friends.
Yeah.
They hear all the bad stories and
Yeah,
not
exactly.
necessarily the good ones. And of course, this got to the point where they had to stop being a PI on their project, which is quite far, I would say. That sounds really serious.
Yeah.
But it does sound like it was perhaps a personality issue with the two of them.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the 1 year long personal experience, this would be a major red flag, though.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Then I would be way more worried. Then if you have already worked with this person for a year, have gotten feedback, know that they are direct, but you know that works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But if you didn't have that, then a major red flag.
Yeah. No, I think this story is pretty cut and dry, and I really like the idea of just a secondary supervisor as well. Like, that is the backup plan, that even if for whatever reason something in the next couple years happens, you have a backup.
Yeah, for sure. The next one is more of a question than a story, really. What mistakes did you find in your PhD thesis after you submitted it?
Why would you check?
I just submitted my thesis and I'm already finding glaring typos and formatting horrors. For those who have been through this, what mistakes did you find too late, and did your examiners actually care? No.
No one really cares. I mean, I know from myself. So one of my supervisors became a professor during that exact period. So it was literally when I submitted my thing, they weren't a professor. When it was accepted, they were a professor. So, but that's not a mistake. It was just literally reflecting of like the timeline, an awkward timeline. But they didn't care. They're like, if it's possible to change it, do it. But otherwise, no.
The only part I have read again after it was printed, because we of course have to print our theses here in the Netherlands, so that makes it even worse perhaps if there's like a massive mistake. But I've only read the acknowledgement again, and I do feel like I found a spelling mistake in there. But honestly, who cares? I was just so happy that the thing was done.
Yeah, but also with the acknowledgements, I feel like, especially nowadays with AI, like it's so easy to have a perfectly well-typed thing with 0 mistakes. Like, if anything, those spelling mistakes just make it clear that you wrote this yourself.
True.
Like, that's a really personal message to the people who read it.
I am not in favor of adding spelling mistakes to papers to make them seem more real, though.
No, not the papers, but like you were talking about the acknowledgements.
True, acknowledgements,
in your thesis.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've also had some comments. Committee signed and library accepted the formatting. I have not read it since writing it. I don't read yours either.
No.
It's kind of funny. In the acknowledgements, I wrote, "Thank you, professors in my committee, for thoroughly reading my thesis." But thoroughly was spelled wrong.
Thoroughly.
So obviously they didn't read it. It's as thoroughly, because otherwise they would have seen his spelling mistakes.
I mean, yeah, it's also possible they didn't. Even if they saw it, they're like, yeah, but we're not gonna be difficult about that.
Misspelled my last name in one of the boilerplate sections at the end. Somebody else responded to that. I misspelled mine on the cover page. I was so worried about that. I thought like, oh my god, I can totally do that. In fairness, it was long before Word and autocorrect and any plausible excuse, just fat fingers on the typewriter and poor attention to detail. I feel like that's a better excuse than before autocorrect.
Yeah. Although sometimes autocorrect is still just change it into something that's like, I didn't mean this.
Yeah. Another person responded, I don't know, 5 people have read it and I wasn't one of them.
Good, sounds good to me.
I mean, especially in the Netherlands, where a lot of what we have in our booklets are already published papers.
Yeah.
I doubt that my committee even fully read those.
No, I think at most some of them like read a chapter or two to prepare some questions.
They of course check that you have published in like good enough journals and that they are published and that it's all real and like.
Yeah, you meet the requirements.
Yeah, but the requirements for us are to have 2 or 3 first author papers out there, and as long as you fit that, then why would they go check a paper that has already been approved in a journal?
Yeah.
Like, and they're also not going to check for spelling mistakes in that. So, but I think in other countries where the thesis is more like a standalone writing, that's perhaps very different.
You're literally trying to encompass your entire PhD project, every minor thing that you worked on.
Yeah. After I got it back from being bound, I cracked it open to a random page and found a spelling error. Just slid it onto the shelf and walked away.
As you should, honestly. Like, it's already printed at that case. Like, as long after your PhD defense, never look at it again. Or I mean, look at it, but like, don't open it.
Okay, the first word in the dissertation after the title page is forward, and I spelled mine as forward. And it's still in the forever in the library version.
As in forward with like the letter 4, like
moving forward.
Oh yeah.
Instead of forward.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
I mean, it's a great message. We're going forward after this PhD.
That's exactly what I meant.
We have to move on.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. These were the stories that we have for today, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.